To be completely honest with you, it feel like I was being buried my entire life. Like when it came to Raven, something always was basically going on, whether it was internal or external. It never really was a dull phase in my life. And I know a lot of you guys can kind of relate to that, where it just seems like, dang God, where does it end? A lot of times this happens, especially to people who is chosen. You go through way more harder things that it seems like than other people. And you have a better heart than them. You won't do half the stuff that you see other people do. And it just seems like, things are harder for you. And honestly, and I know you probably heard me say this before, but I was angry with God for a very long time, because all of my intentions I felt was pure, but it just seemed like I was always getting the short end of the stick. But as I began to grow in my relationship with God, it's not the fact that situations or circumstances changed for my better. It's like God was good to me, during those dark times. And this morning, God brought something to my mind about being planted does feel like you're being buried. Jeremiah 17 verse 7 through 8 says, but blessed are those, who trust in the Lord, for they are like trees planted along the riverbank. Scripture basically tells us, it talks about how their leaves stay green and they never stop producing fruit. To get to the place where we want to produce fruit, we ought to be planted. And oftentimes a seed goes into dark places. And a lot of those dark places is where we only have God. So many of you are still standing for your marriage or believing God for other things, but you can't understand, why does it seem like matters are getting worse? I take a lot of calls. And this weekend I had one particular call, and she said, Raven, it's been this amount of time and I don't see any change. And because of no change, she felt like she was doing something wrong. And of course, I validated her feelings. However, I told her, you have to trust God, because we really think a lack of movement or a lack of change means that we're in the wrong. And that's not true. On top of going through other things, I want you to understand that you are being planted. You are a seed right now. So you have to go through the seed process. And that process does not feel good, and it doesn't make sense. Yes, you feel alone right now. And yes, God has you in a solitude with him. But sometimes that separation is because of what God values. You're not in the way. I remember a long time ago, God told me, Raven, I will give you back the days that you're sacrificing, where you could be outside, where you could be, doing what you want to do. But because of your obedience, I will give you back those days. And God truly did that for me. So I encourage you to go through the process, whatever it is that you're asking God to do. I had another call this weekend with a young lady where she said, Raven, this situation with my marriage, I'm not hearing God, but I am hearing God in another area. And she is producing great fruit in that area. It is because her marital stand is what God used to plant her. And boy, did it look like she was being buried, but now she's producing fruit in the area of her calling, in the area of her purpose. And she did not begin this by altering her process. She honestly cried through it. She wept through it, but she never gave up on God, and she's being blessed. And now she's not even worried about the promise, because when we take our eyes off of it, that's telling God we trust you. So continue to trust God in this process. It will make sense soon. One thing I have learned about the Lord is that he does not give us revelation all the time where it will make sense right then and there, but eventually he knows it will eventually make sense. Love you guys, and I'll surely see you in the next video.